Yeousch!
What is up, everyone? StonePost34 bringing you Black Ops 2, but also bringing you more of growing up with StonePost. And I've got a good story. I think it's a great story. It's about me and a much, much older lady that I dated for a while, and why it was awesome and why it was not so awesome. So anyway, real quick, what I think about Black Ops 2. I love this game. This game is awesome when it works. The signal, man, I'll tell you what, the signal at times on this thing, it's, I don't know, whatever, I'm not going to complain too much, but I'm having fun. It's, I like the stackable score streaks, whatever you want to call it. They're not kill streaks, but I love the maps. I like the linear maps as opposed to triangular maps, and I'm just having a blast with it when it works. So anyway, guys, so when I left college, I didn't graduate college. For you that don't know, I did not graduate college. When I left college, I took a job working retail at a mall, and long story short, within about a year's time, I became the general manager. Works okay. Well, I was 23 at the time, so that was a little awkward when I had 50 and 60-year-old managers reporting to me of these stores and holding meetings. They weren't. I wouldn't say that they weren't enamored with me, but just the whole age difference was kind of a big deal. So I got a promotion. I was living in Kansas doing this. Well, the company I worked for had 31 properties in the portfolio, so they had an opening come up in Indiana. And I thought, you know what, I'm 23, I really enjoy real estate, I think I may want to make a career out of this. So I applied for the job, I got the job, which is great. But here, I'm 23 years old, moving to a state I've never lived in. I don't know anybody there, but it was okay. I was kind of excited about it. So I get there. This mall is like 3 times the size of the mall I was managing here in Kansas, and so I head out there, meet a few people. There's a lot of store managers in these malls, and I have a pretty big staff, so I got to meet a few people. But if you're the boss, you don't hang out with these people. You need to find another circle outside of that. And so I got involved with the American Cancer Society. And so I had a few meetings and met a few people. Well, come to find out, my ad representative at the time was on this board as well. And she was smoking hot. she was awesome. And anyway, we'll get into it. So I remember her coming by my office after we met. She was with a local newspaper. The mall was in Seymour, Indiana. If you're from Indiana, that's where it's at. And she was just to the north in another town where the main newspaper was. And so I remember coming into my office, and I'm like, oh my God, Kathy, you look so good. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say it, but I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks so good. And so she showed me some deals they had going. They had a circular coming out that later that next month, I believe for Christmas, and wanted to know if the mall would be interested in doing some advertising with some of the stores, doing some joint advertising. And so I listened to her. And then at the end, I was like, you want to grab lunch sometime? And she was like, I'd love to. And I knew she was single. And she's like, I'd love to. I'm like, awesome, let's do this. And so we grabbed lunch. Well, lunch turned into another lunch, and another lunch. Within about a week or two, I'm over at her house. We're cooking out. We're having dinner. She had 2 daughters, Mackenzie and Mia. And actually, one of my daughters is named Mackenzie, so that's not why. But so I remember we had lunch. Dinner over. We had cookout on her deck, and the kids weren't there. Which she already introduced me to her kids. Which now I think about it, I'm a little bit older. I don't know if I'd introduce my kids to someone I was dating. Not that I'm planning on doing that, but she did. And here's the age difference. I'm sure you're all wondering, what was the age difference? Okay, I was 23 at the time. And she was my age now, 37. But she was smoking hot. In fact, here's how hot she was. Her daughter, we're still friends on Facebook, and so I see this stuff, and her daughter was Miss Indiana a few years back. So that just goes to tell you how good looking she was. So anyway, I remember we had dinner. It was awesome, and then I put my 23-year-old moves on her, and the rest was history. So we dated basically. I was only in Indiana for about a year, and we dated most of that time. And I remember my parents came up. You know, I'm 23. You know, your parents are going to come up and visit you, right? So my parents come up, and you got to understand, my parents are uber religious. They're good people. It's just, you know, they don't drink. They don't smoke. They don't cuss. They still don't. I haven't seen them have a drink since I was like 6 or 7. So me telling them that I'm dating a 37-year-old I was a little awkward about it. So I didn't. And I told Kathy, I was like, we can't do this. I said, I want you to meet him, but we just got to play it, you know, sly. So we went to lunch with all of the people on the American Cancer Society board, and she was there. Excuse me. And then she got to meet him that way. But so it was a blast. It was cool. You know, the thing I love about older women is, man, there's no games. Forget the games. There's no games. They are real. They say what they mean what they say. If they say they're going to do something, they do it. So if you're thinking about dating an older woman, and maybe I should say much older woman, just know that typically there's no BS, man. It's what they say. You know, they're too old for it. They're not going to play these little mind games and junk like that. So that's the upside. Now here is the downside, and it feels like I've mentioned this in one of my videos before, so if I have, leave in the comments, I'm sorry. So I moved back to Kansas. I decided I wanted to go a different way. I missed Kansas, actually, and wanted to go a different way, and I decided I wanted to start selling real estate and be a representative for commercial and residential properties. So came back, took my classes, got licensed. Well, we're still seeing each other. I would go back to Indiana every other weekend. She had never come here. And I remember it was right around Halloween that, because there was a Halloween party she wanted me to go to in Seymour. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, we'll see, I don't know. But the trip that I had taken up, we stayed in Indianapolis for a long weekend with her and her girls. Now, Mackenzie and I took the girls down to the pool. She was getting ready for dinner. We're going to go out, and then I was going to get showered up and such. So Mackenzie and I are sitting in the living room, in the hotel room. And now Mackenzie at this time was probably 8 or 9. And we're sitting there, and she goes, Greg, what's Kansas like? I said, oh, you know, it's kind of like Indiana. It's you know, it's a little different. You got a few more trees here. I said the weather's about the same. I said, you know, you get all 4 seasons, and you know, people are nice just like here. And she's like, yeah, okay, great. And I said, well, why why are you asking? She goes, well, Mommy says we might move to Kansas. I'm like, oh crap, you're kidding me. I'm like, I'm 23 and your mom's 37. We're having a good time. She was just getting off the divorce. I didn't really think that we were going to next level this like that. And I want to have kids. I think she's done having kids. You know, all that stuff. You know, not that when you meet someone you start asking all those questions, because you got to let it evolve and mature a little bit, no pun intended, before you start going through that. But I was like, oh my gosh. So this Halloween party's coming up, and I got to be honest, I pulled the douche move. I was a douche, because I felt like, okay, am I going to continue to lead her on and make her think that yes, this is going to be, you know, I don't want to say. You know, all relationships are important, but I just didn't want her to think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get married to this guy and such. So I was douche. I just said, you know, I'm not coming to the Halloween party. I'm not going to be able to make it. And then she goes, why, are you breaking up with me? And I'm like, no. And that's when it got bad. I mean, it's like, I think the older women are great because there's no BS, but you know, she was reading it. She was like making plans. She was like planning everything, and I'm like, oh crap. You know, I'm just kind of having fun, really enjoying being with you. So, anyway, guys, that's my MILF story, so to speak. We're still friends, and she's a great lady, and we had a great time. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Black Ops 2, I like it when it works. So, anyway, take care as always. This is StonePost 34.
Extra complete, RTP. Yeousch!